Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Hannah Olson and I am a mom to 3 living with my husband and kids in Minnesota. And I am so excited about sharing about today's topic because I usually do share about things like homeschooling, motherhood, and homemaking, and today's topic is homeschooling, but it is a brand new to us curriculum that we started for this year, and we are actually in the middle, as I'm recording this, we're in the middle of our 4th week of homeschooling already this year. So I felt like after 3.5 weeks of experience with this curriculum today, I can finally share about it and how it's going for us. I've been wanting to record this video for a while, but like I said, I wanted to wait till we had more experience with it. The curriculum is called 5 in a Row, and I'll pull it up. I'll pick it up here off the floor for you. This is what it looks like. It is a kind of a thicker book, more like a teacher's manual that you can get even on Amazon. 5 in a Row is a great way to cover a lot of those family subjects or subjects like geography or all the social studies subjects, some language arts, some math, some science, and art, even music too. So it's a wonderful way to kind of catch up on all of those other subjects or cover all of those other subjects as a family, and I can't wait to share more about it. My goal for today's video is to give you a little bit of a flip through. I know that some of you have been asking to see a flip through of some of the new curriculum we've been using this year already, and I'm so excited to do that. I want to show you what the teacher's manual, or this volume, looks like inside, plus some of the ways that we have been working on consolidating all of the information we've learned. And yeah, I'll just give you kind of a mini tour about how I'm organizing and how we're doing this, how it's all being implemented. So 5 in a Row is basically a weekly unit study. I never thought I would be much of a project-based mom or like crafts and experiments and stuff. So don't be intimidated by that, because I truly wasn't interested in unit studies for quite some time. I just didn't want to do it. But this is so feasible. I highly, highly recommend it. So spoiler alert there, this is an honest review of someone who truly loves it. 5 in a Row, the concept, or the reason it's named that, is because you read the same picture book, the same children's book 5 days in a row that week. And so you read it, for instance, Monday through Friday, most likely. And every day you do a different activity based off of what you as the teacher or parent have selected out of their little menu from different subjects. So they've got language arts, like I said, and math and art and science and stuff like that. So you as the parent get to decide. I love the flexibility of that. I love that I'm not totally hemmed in, like it's not mandatory to do an exact activity, although of course with a lot of other workbooks and stuff we do in homeschool, I do follow along with exactly what the protocol is. But this, I love that it gives you, I keep holding it up, I'll show you inside. I love that it gives you a really wonderful, just that flexibility and a lot of choices. A quick note, it might seem a little bit boring or repetitive, of course, to read the same children's book 5 days in a row during the same week, but if you are a parent or you've been around kids, you know that kids they absolutely love repetition. It is so good for them, it truly is, and that's just what we do on a regular basis as parents anyways. We read the same favorite bedtime storybook and stuff like that. So it truly does not hurt, and if anything, it helps greatly to read the same book 5 days in a row, especially because the way that 5 in a Row works, you are unearthing or discovering a new layer, basically, of the book, a new aspect of the book that you might not have noticed or thought about the day before. And so every day, all of this prior knowledge, and then like all the stuff you're teaching, all of the vocabulary words or geography or culture that you're teaching your kids, it just adds more and more layers of learning. So I love that philosophy. So these lessons in 5 in a Row are designed for ages 5 through 9. There is also a series of books called Before 5 in a Row, and I have a 6.5-year-old, almost 7-year-old, an almost 5-year-old, and then also a 1.5-year-old. I especially wanted to pick this one. It's for, I guess it doesn't say here, right here, it says ages 5 through 9. And so since Soren, my son, is close enough to age 5, I thought we'll just jump in with this. It's not like he needs a separate before 5 in a row. I wanted this to be a family subject kind of approach. And he's been doing wonderfully with it. I can see how you can really stretch it up through age 9 or even a little beyond that, even without leaving this regular 5 in a row volume. So I have volume 2 here, and that's the one I chose and purchased. We haven't done volume 1. I didn't choose volume 1, and that's fine. It does not matter. The order that you get these 5 in a row books does not matter. I'm going to show you the table of contents. So I think this volume 2 has something like 14 or 15 books, children's books listed in the table of contents. I did buy all of these. I like to buy books used, and so I kind of scoured those thrift books kinds of websites. I think I especially like Better World books, but anyway, I have found all of those books. They're on the shelf over here on our homeschool bookshelf, and I'm just walking through one at a time, just in order. I don't think the order super matters, but we have done The Giraffe That Walked to Paris, and for our second week of school, we did a book called 3 Names. Then we did it again for the third week of school because there were a lot of activities I still wanted to cover, kind of in the pioneer days or pioneer era, so I wanted to do more 3 Names activities. So we have done The Giraffe That Walked to Paris, 2 weeks of 3 Names, and that brings us to our 4th week right now, which is the book called Wee Gillis. I'll show you first, I think, what it looks like inside this teacher guide or the manual here, and there's no other materials that they give you. It's just this book, and you kind of come up with the rest of it, but it's really, really feasible, and I'm excited to show you kind of how we are consolidating all that we're learning using lap books. Okay, I'm going to talk about The Giraffe That Walked to Paris. So this is what it looks like at the start of each chapter. They just have the title of it and kind of the information if you need to go and find it from the library, and a quick summary. Then you can see different headings here. Hopefully I can get this to focus enough for you. Different headings here say things like social studies, geography, social studies, citizenship we have over here. We've got social studies, relationships down here. Social studies, reconciliation, and more relationships. Let me see if there's another social studies. Yep, social studies, history is right here. So as you can see, there are multiple little paragraphs. Those are all social studies, and then they move on to your next, I guess, subject that you can select activities from. So we've got language arts, setting of the story, language arts, italics. This is not all the same between each children's book, but italics are something you can notice in this book, The Giraffe That Walked to Paris, for instance. So we have language arts vocabulary here. Then they have a heading for art, appreciating expressions and body movement. I added my own little notes about art. I wanted to do a hand tracing giraffe craft. We did not get to that, and that's part of the joy and beauty of the flexibility of homeschooling. So we didn't get to that one. It was a cute idea. Knowing your subject, humor. Then they move over to math. Then there's math counting, math measuring, and then it moves on to science, which I'll explain in a second. I know that there is a whole variety, a whole range of mathematical abilities in any given family, especially if you have kids who are a pretty spread out range of ages. And that's totally fine. She really explains well how to show counting opportunities in this book. And then she often has tips and pointers for making it a little bit more challenging or applicable for older students or older children in your family. So I love that. I think that including math and stuff in here is totally good. We still have our own math curriculum that we're using this year. This is not like our only math approach, our only way to learn math, but I love how it's like applied mathematics and applied science, and it's just so relevant and so fun to try all of these activities. Then there's a heading talking about science, wind power, science animal care, science animal behavior. Let's see. Science zoos, because the giraffe ends up living in a zoo. Science seasons, because she walks to Paris throughout many seasons of the year. And then there is a little, I'll bend this back. There's a little planning sheet for you here as the mom, and you can kind of decide on this, like the menu I just showed you, all the different activities that there are. You can write down real quick what you're doing for social studies, language arts, art, math, science. And that's 5 subjects right there. You could just pick one of those every day. Only pick one social studies activity, only pick one language arts, only pick one art, etc. I'm not using these because I have my homeschool planner and I'm writing out, I have a whole section at the bottom of every week that says 5 in a row. I write what book we're working on, and then I just write for each day what activities we will be doing. So in terms of planning out my week for 5 in a row, I just pick the next book that is listed in the volume here. I go through and I look at each of the activities, like all of the options for, this is our current book, We Gillis. I look at all of the options for social studies and I pick a couple language arts. I try to pick at least one from every one of those main subjects, like math, science, language arts, and social studies. And what was the other one? Art. Then I actually like to hop on Pinterest and see if there are any worksheets, or I hop on Teachers Pay Teachers and see if there are any free little mini units or things you can cut out and paste. All of those wonderful young elementary grades ideas. And there are some really good activities out there for some of these more well-known picture books. Not all of them are super well-known, but I was still able to find some items, some things to print out that are on theme for instance, like the book 3 Names is about like pioneer times, and I was still able to find things, even though if I like Google search 3 names, I couldn't find the exact worksheets or something I wanted. But you can kind of piece together. This gives you the foundational, like exactly what you could do. You don't need anything else other than this and the book. But if you want to go a little above and beyond, nothing too complicated, just look around on Pinterest or Teachers Pay Teachers and stuff like that for relevant worksheets or coloring pages. So anyway, I like to pick one of those at least, but sometimes you can fit in a couple shorter or smaller activities in each day. Then once I've picked those out, I go in my homeschool planner here. This is from Treehouse Schoolhouse and I really like it. And I have a section where I wrote 5 in a row, and that's where I write out exactly what I want to do each day of the week, kind of looking at our week's schedule, what might be feasible for us, and which activities group well together. I like to start off the week doing a map and a flag, for instance, if we're studying a certain country or the book takes place in an interesting location, but then I kind of piece it together that way. So I look at 5 in a row, the volume 2 book, then I write down in my planner what we'll be doing. So after I've done that, and if I found any worksheets, I print them out for the week, then I organize them in here. This is my organizer, and as you can see, I don't have a ton of tabs right now. I thought I was planning way well ahead of schedule, and here I am not planned ahead for next week. That's okay, it's not that hard to plan ahead for. But as you can see, maybe I have little tabs that say The Giraffe That Walked to Paris and 3 Names and We Gillis. Those are the first 3 children's books for this volume 2. And what I do is I have a little, just a simple folder inside each little file here, and it's just my file of, you know, worksheets. For instance, we're reading a book, We Gillis takes place in Scotland, so I've got a Highland cow there. I've got, he strengthens his lungs, so I've got little like lung parts I wanted to go over, and we had like a fun design your own tartan, like the plaid cross-hatching kind of idea. So there are some things that I've printed out. I just pop them in here. I also, as you might notice, I've printed them out pretty small, and that is because the way I'm consolidating, the way we are kind of demonstrating our learning here, is we are creating lap books. So let me show you our lap books. I just got a set of these. There's a whole variety, like 5 colors of these cute manila folders, or they're file folders basically. And what we do is, instead of like having the folder folded in half like this, I guess I could show you on this with this tan one, you actually open it up like this and fold it inward like this. So you're no longer folding it in half from the back center line. You'll just be opening it up like doors this way. And that is just what I'm calling a lap book. And I'm sure there are many other better ways to do a lap book, but I wanted it feasible and simple, just easy for a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a busy mom with a 1-year-old on the go to handle. So this is Soren's lap book, and this is Sophie's lap book. She's our almost 7-year-old. And I just printed out something that looked like the front cover. And then what we do is every day of the week when we learn about something else in the book, I try to have something that they could draw or write, or that would be printable, something you can cut out and put in this folder. So we talked about Egypt, we talked about France, so we've got their flags in here. And we had a lot of vocabulary words for this book, more than for the other children's books. And, oops, where is it? Sophie's got the definitions on the back of most of these words. I just noticed one didn't have it. But anyway, we've got a little flip book of the 4 seasons here. I guess you don't need to see my face, I'll just try to get it to focus. So Sophie colored little things that reminded her of each of the seasons of the year because the giraffe was walking throughout the year, so we talked about 4 seasons. We have a little thing we did about the giraffe life cycle, which is pretty much just giraffes of different sizes. But we've got a little map here. It says from Egypt to Paris. And I just printed these out small so they'd fit in the lap book. But Sophie and Soren both were able to draw a dot where the giraffe walked from and to. Things that work with wind power. She sketched a couple things that work with wind power. So maybe you heard me mention that was one of the science options in the 5 in a row book. And also one of the math options in kind of the menu there was to talk about measuring. And so we measured everyone, including Svea, our 1.5-year-old. Then we drew a dot next to, and then Sophie just drew a person quick. But we've got a dot next to how tall Sophie was, and La Giraffe in the book, she was, I think, a younger giraffe still, but she was 11 feet tall. So that just shows in proportion to the giraffe how tall Sophie was. And Soren, he is so proud of his work with these two. And so he especially likes the flags and stuff. This is his France flag, his Egypt flag. As you can see, it's basically the same. And he has done such a good job with that. Those are our lap books, and I actually do store them right back in here just so we'll see how many we can fit in here throughout the year. But that way I can always refer back to what we learned. Then I'll just give you a quick little tour of our 3 names lap books. 3 Names was a really, really sweet book. It's by Patricia McLachlan. Woo, that's hard to say. But anyway, we've got the 3 names of the dog. It was Ted, Boots, and Pal. And inside, we talked about prairie land, what states are prairie land, parts of a dog, lots of prairie animals. There's a cute little pocket we made with some new words. Oh, sorry, I don't think I showed you the map. We just sketched in what we could about what might be prairie land. The kids sorted what are long ago items and today items, so modern and long ago. And there was a tornado in the book, so we talked about different parts of a tornado. Another really fun part was a pet names poll. So this is kind of all about pet names here. That's not the overarching theme, but the dog has 3 names, so they call him 3 Names. So we talked about all the names of pets of the people we know, and if the pets' names have to do, if they were a human name, like a person's name, if they had to do with the animal's physical characteristics, etc. And then we talked about, what is this called? Vanishing point, when things look like they're disappearing off in the horizon. So Sophie painted a prairie scene. Soren painted a prairie scene with fence posts that he was really proud of. And yeah, this is the inside of his. It's pretty similar to Sophie's, and like I said, it's very feasible for him. And the kids are so proud of their work. They're excited to show Daddy or Grandma or anyone what they've been learning, and I am really pleasantly surprised by what they are remembering. We talked about similes in the book 3 Names, and the other day Soren said, Daddy's truck is... He was trying to remember the word simile. He said, Daddy's truck is as red as a strawberry or something like that. And he's like, that's a simile. When I was doing my research to see if I wanted to do 5 in a row and then how to best approach it, I kept hearing again and again that people had really good memories with their kids. Over the years, even years later, the family is still talking about some fun activity they did or something they learned together while they were rowing a book. Sometimes people call it rowing a book, like we're currently rowing the book We Gillis right now. But with 5 in a row, you make so many fun memories and you do sweet little projects. It does not have to be complicated. You don't have to be constantly buying things for it. I just bought manila folders folders and I'm printing out little worksheets as I find them, or we're just kind of writing down things, and it has been so much fun. So I think that's about all I needed to show you today. I hope it was helpful for you. I hope it was interesting for you to see how we approach 5 in a row in our family. I don't think it has to be complicated. It doesn't need to be some elaborate, extravagant project time. We fit it in typically before lunchtime, but there have been a lot of days where we do all of school from breakfast time till lunch, and then after lunchtime I put Svea down for her nap, and the big kids and I continue with our 5 in a row book that we're currently rowing and our projects. And that doesn't take super long, but it's been a really wonderful addition to our family homeschool time. I will link down below in the description box the colorful, oh, this is not that helpful, here, just any of these colorful manila folders that we have been using for lap books. I will link the volume 2 5 in a row, and maybe if I can find any other supplies like this organizer, but I'm not sure that I can. But basically you don't need much to do 5 in a row, and it really adds a whole extra depth to your homeschool time. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. It was really fun for me to share about it. Let me know if you need a better flip through, like if I actually had time today. My kids and husband are at the park right now, so I just wanted to get this filmed. But if you need me to show anything else in this 5 in a row book, I can definitely do that. I would love to also show you flip throughs for other curriculum that we've got going on that's new to us this year. But yeah, I will link everything down below that I can for you. And I wanted to remind you that I have an email list that you can join where I share tried and true recipe recommendations, as well as what is new on YouTube and new on the blog, and just general life updates. And so it's really a fun place for you to be if you want to stay up to date. You can follow along with me over on Instagram at Hannah B. Olson. And I also have a free webinar, a free masterclass for moms of young children. If you're looking for ways to stay out of overwhelm and still get your to-do list done, and you might not have outside childcare, then this is the free webinar for you. I will link that down below as well. Hopefully it helps you. Thanks again for watching and for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you're at, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.
Yesterday